Towson, Baltimore, and football season when we play the Cleveland Browns because, quite frankly, we're always a favorite and I always feel like we're going to win. And half the times I get some of the good cooking out there in Cleveland and catch up with some old friends. But here on the radio, it's one of my favorite weeks of the year because I get to catch up with people I like that I stay in touch with in the real world from time to time. And I do have a lot of friends out in Cleveland. It's funny how that works. This guy is not a Clevelander by birth, but he is by heart. He is a Detroiter as a native, and everyone here remembers him for the see you later home run calls as the longtime voice of home team sports and the Baltimore Orioles and the one-time counterpart of our Hall of Famer and Cakes and Jim Palmer. We welcome Michael Regai back from the great city of Cleveland, where they're scuffling at football, but they seem to have figured this baseball thing out for the time being. You can follow him at ESPN Cleveland as well as at Michael Regai. What's going on, man? How's life out there in the Cuyahoga region, Mike?
Nestor, all good. Always great to hear from you. And yeah, I agree with you. It's always a fun week, and there's a lot of emotion attached when the Ravens and the Browns get together. So the way that both of them performed in AFC North games this opening week of the season, maybe there's even a little more intrigue in this one, huh?
Well, I mean, the Browns did not embarrass themselves against the Steelers, and I don't know that the Steelers embarrassed themselves against it. Look, you never know. I mean, we went out and beat the snot out of the Bengals. The Bengals just might stink. We came to that grand conclusion in the third quarter of the game. I know one thing, and I had a guest on earlier this week, and I'm not even sure who it was, said that in the AFC North, the best unit might be the Ravens' defense,
yes.
In the whole division, and that's saying something.
Whoever that was, I'm with them. I mean, I always check out the Ravens, and listen, I was really impressed. I mean, I thought they dictated to Marvin Lewis's offense. Tony Jefferson, C.J. Mosley, Suggs, Correa, Pierce. I thought they all were terrific. Would you have 5 sacks against them and really negated the opportunity for Cincinnati to get anything going offensively. And then, the run game, Nestor, I was intrigued by that and that play distribution. I'm sure you've talked a lot about that in the, in your show since the opener. But, with 40 runs of the football to 17 passes. Now, you think it'll stay that way, though? Will John Harbaugh keep it that way? At fourth quarters of games that are a little bit tighter. I think that's the question. But defensively, yeah, very, very impressed with what the Ravens accomplished. And I agree, that might be the best unit in the AFC North.
Well, not just getting to the quarterback when you don't get there, forcing him, and he didn't look like a veteran. He didn't look poised, and certainly his offensive line in front of him didn't look poised. But Dalton distributed the ball to Mosley, to Carr, to Webb, to Smith. I mean, everybody caught one on Sunday. That's usually been sort of the old Ravens. I had Brian Billick on earlier this week. We talked about the Ed Reed ball hawking days. I don't know that you're going to count on 3, 4, 5 turnovers a week, but certainly this defense feels like it's going to force that, and more than that, force it off of stopping the run. And I know the Browns have invested a lot in this offensive line, and we talked all last week about Kevin Zeitler. Now we're talking all this week about Kevin Zeitler and Joe Thomas and Bitonio and these other guys, the new center you brought over from Green Bay. Running the ball is something Cleveland's going to have to do if they're going to have any success at all with Kaiser. They don't want him throwing the ball 50 times either.
No, you're exactly right, and that was a disappointment, quite honestly, on Sunday. Now, look, the Steelers' front seven has always made it very, very tough on the Browns offensively. I just think, more talent on that defense, especially the front seven for Pittsburgh, and they got after it again. They held Isaiah Crowell in check, only 33 yards on 17 carries, and so Nestor, that's going to have to evolve. You're absolutely right for the Browns to be able to protect DeShone Kizer a little bit. But Nestor, I got to tell you, I mean, you know me, I'm not one. I don't anoint guys. You know that about me. I mean, you got to earn it with me. And I look, as AFC North, he's got the stature of Ben and he's got the stature of Flacco. So that's a good thing. Right there. The kid's a legitimate close to 6'5" and 235 pounds. And Nestor, he can spin it now. He's got a legitimate NFL arm. If you'll see some of the throws. Held the ball way too long on about 8 different dropbacks against Pittsburgh. So
well, that's the timing of how it's different in South Bend than it is in Pittsburgh, right?
Yes, no question. Offensive line, though, you said it. Now, they spent gazillions on that O-line with re-upping Batonio and adding Zeitler and J.C. Treader at center. They got some questions at right tackle. They should have let Mitchell Schwartz walk a couple of years ago, but be that as it may, they spent a lot of money. That offensive line has got to be one of the bellwethers of this football team. And again, they weren't real cohesive against Pittsburgh in the opener. Now, the thing is that, again, and Joe Thomas quick to point out in the locker room that they listen, give us a couple of games together. We didn't play together in the preseason. That's fine, except it's going to have to come together and be that strong unit. It's going to be able to get a push in the run game, or, again, there's going to be a lot of defenses. They've already seen Pittsburgh. I know the Ravens will do it. Will take advantage of and will really start to get rather exotic in how they come after Deshaun Kaiser. So the Browns know that. Now they got to go out and do something about it.
Michael Regai joining us here from the land of Cleve. You can follow his wisdom at Michael Regai out on Twitter, and thousands do. He's calling a bunch of Midwestern football games. And, for you with the offensive line and Joe Thomas hanging around through all of this, Michael, you've been at this a long time, 3 decades plus. This is a very, very unusual thing to in the modern era to sort of have this Ernie Banks thing, right? Where a guy hangs out. And I told the story earlier this week, and, I've told it with John Ogden. John Ogden sat with me out at the barn back in 1998. Hell, I think you were here at that point. And, they were in the middle of the 3rd year of awfulness in Marcia Broden. Jimmy Harbaugh was the quarterback at that point, couldn't throw the ball 20 yards, couldn't break a pane of glass. And he was tired of losing 2 years in, and he said, hey, man, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to re-up and play here my whole career if I can't win. I want to win. Yep. And then Billick came in, and he never left, and he had a shortened career because of the toe and his size, and he's got a beautiful bus down in Canton, Ohio right now. But, Joe Thomas might get a beautiful bus down in Canton, Ohio at some point, but I don't know that he's ever going to get a Super Bowl ring unless he leaves Cleveland, and I know it came about 5 minutes away from him going to Denver a couple years ago, and that would have been an opportunity for him.
Yeah, that's fair, and it does raise a lot of questions, Nestor, no doubt about that. Now, look, everybody loves Joe here. As you can imagine, you drew the John Ogden, sure, the offensive lineman, he's not missed a snap, Nestor, in his 11th year. Not a snap. I think he's going to go over 10,000 snaps lining up in M&T Bank against the Ravens. So, he's beloved. And yet, listen, I've asked Joe myself. I mean, man, you may not get to a playoff game, let alone the Super Bowl. I'm hoping in 2018 the Cleveland Browns can legitimately at least contend for a playoff spot in the AFC. But whether it's 18, 19, or 20, I mean, hey, time is a ticking here. So I think it's legitimate. I was surprised that Joe Thomas didn't want to, and it was Denver too. So you knew he's going to playoffs with a shot to maybe go deep in the playoffs. But his response, Nestor, is that, he and his wife, and now they've started their young family. They love Cleveland. They love all it has to offer. He's a guy from Wisconsin that loves to hunt and fish, so he does a lot of that in the off season. So, I don't know. I mean, listen, that's not how I'm wired. I can't sit here and tell you I'd do the same damn thing. I want to play in the playoffs, man, and win something of significance. But he has opted to stay here, and hopefully, as he says, that'll happen here with the Cleveland Browns. But, it's certainly no gimme, as we know.
Look, you've been at this from the beginning, from Tim Couch straight on through, and everything that's happened out there over the last 20 years, including us taking the franchise away and then bringing the other franchise back. I know it's very, very hard to find true optimism there amongst the fan base and certainly amongst people like you that have had Browns radio shows and dealt with different coaches and different administrators and crazy ownership and incompetent ownership and quarterbacks, out doing all sorts of unspeakable things in the middle of the night. Do you have any more optimism in September of 2017 than you've had at any other point here, Mike? I mean, can this team ever get to 10 or 11 wins in the next 3-4 years? I mean, while Hugh Jackson's still around?
Yeah, well, listen, simply put, they're going to need to, or once again, heads are going to roll. Now, this regime is probably going to get through 2019, I would say. Now, unless they do another 1-15 this year. If they do another 1-15, 2-14, and this doesn't start to show some market improvement, I think that Hugh Jackson and his coaching staff would be in trouble. But there's encouragement here, Nestor. Cautiously, guardedly optimistic. How about that for a slogan for the Cleveland Browns? The second and third year guys in this squad are starting to show that maybe a lot of them can be the foundation. I'm not talking about all pros here, but I'm talking about if they can show at the end of this year that they got 12 to 15, both sides of the ball I'm talking about, amongst all these second and third year draft picks. The rookie class looks good from 17. We haven't seen Garrett in it. Didn't see him again. He's hurt, but Peppers, Kaiser, Njoku, the tight end, also Ogunjobi, defensive tackle, played well against Pittsburgh. If 15 to 20 of these guys in the last 3 years should be at the end of this year, if the Browns could feel good, regardless of the record, and say these guys are legitimate either starters or key backups going forward, now I think it'll start to manifest itself. That next year's draft going to be very important too, but that's what it's going to take. You got to start stabilizing this thing, and these guys have to be given opportunities to show that they're legitimate NFL players as they in their second year, their third year in the league. You know the importance of that. Hell, Ozzy's done that, and that's how the Ravens have been built for the last 20 years, and then more specifically under Ozzy. So, that's where the hope is. That's where that everyone here is trying to feel like there's some excitement there. And again, after one football game, I'm certainly not going to say that DeShone Kaiser, we're going to see. We'll have to see him play. It's great that there are a lot. This kid, that's a right move to make. I'm not big. I know you're going to. If a guy plays too soon, a quarterback, you're going to scar him. He's going to get beat up. No, man, the hell with that, man. You drafted him in the second round. If you thought he was mentally weak, why the hell did you even draft him? So, again, I'm good with that. He looks the part. He's got some things he's got to smooth out. He's got to, make sure that the ball comes out. That'll be to the benefit of the offensive line, but he's got a strong arm, Nestor. He really does, and he can make all the throws. And as I said, he's got the size. He's in that Roethlisberger, Flacco mold there. And haven't had any. You've had a bunch of munchkins around here running out there trying to play quarterback. So that's it's an optimistic feeling from that sense, and maybe Kaiser can show that okay, he's the guy you're going to hitch the wagon to for the next hopefully 10 years or more. And if he does that, then it'll allow them to address the other areas of this football team that really are going to need it.
He is the one guy that they let into Ohio from Michigan. The other one is Jabril Peppers. He is Michael Regai. Tell me about Peppers and tell me about these young guys, because we're not going to see Garrett this week. I mean, that's obvious, but I feel like, and I've had a couple people from Cleveland tell me this week, the people around Baltimore are going to not like Jabril Peppers and Myles Garrett very much over the next couple years.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm with that because I think they're both going to be dynamic defensive players. I really do. Greg Williams is here, Nestor, and you know what that means. Williams comes with bad intentions and bad attitudes. Hell, I mean, listen, you know this. He's the one that back in March at the first meeting and then the first OTA after the draft, he told Joe Hayden, hey, man, you got to be a whole lot better. I don't play around on your laurels and what you did. Either you start to play better or I can't have you here. So, I mean, and look at that. That came to fruition, the last week of the preseason with Hayden being let go and then ultimately signing with Pittsburgh. So
what did you make of that, by the way? That was, I mean, your best defensive player was playing for the Steelers last week, in my mind. Now, that might not be the reality for Greg Williams. Maybe that's not the reality for Hugh Jackson. And I know that there was some conjecture there that was more of a front office thing than a coaching thing and a salary cap issue in a year where they weren't going to be any good. But, it would feel to me like you're a better team if you came in with Joe Hayden this week.
Well, and you know what? A lot of fans share your opinion here with that. Listen, even if, and he's not. I mean, look, Joe. I'll be very honest with you. I always questioned whether he was elite, even at his best. Very good, yes, but I always felt. I look at it this way, Nestor. Show me a defense show me an offense and an offensive coordinator and an opposition game planning that was ever afraid and just basically eliminated the side of the field that Joe Hayden was on because they didn't want to go at him. I mean, Antonio Brown just absolutely eviscerated him for the last few years. A few of your Ravens receivers gave him a lot of problems. He did pretty well against Jay Green in the division. But Joe's very good, quality guy in the corner. But Nestor, in the last 2 seasons, he missed like 18 football games. Before last year, he played last year. A lot of people speculate he played hurt. I guess you're hearing in my voice what I'm saying is that, look, if that's a decision they made the determination he's no better than the 3rd or 4th best corner on this football team. So, yeah, where they're at, say, we will pay $11 million to that? No. They asked him to restructure to down to 7. He balked at that. They told him, all right, go out. You want to go out and see what you – fine. So that's what he did. And, Pittsburgh got $7 million guaranteed, Nestor, for 1 year. So I know, came out, $26 million for 3 years. 1 year is guaranteed. And I'll venture to say right now that I don't think Joe Hayden will be with the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2018.
Wow. Okay, Michael Regai stepping out there. You think Joe Hayden's done?
No. I don't think that he is I don't think he is a top shutdown corner any longer in the National Football League. No.
Okay, fair enough. He is Michael Regai out on Twitter. And I would be remiss. You were the longtime voice of baseball around here in Baltimore that I have begun my requiem for the 2017 Orioles. And really, it came at the hands of the Tribe over the weekend. But the Tribe look like they're going to end, a lot of teams' seasons and hurting their feelings along the way here. They're playing some great baseball right now, Mike.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal run they're on, Nestor. As we speak, sitting at 19 wins in a row, and I mean it's it's an incredible ride. It really is. Terry Francona has done a masterful job, and I mean they're doing it. I mean for the last month, for the bulk of this win run, they without Andrew Miller, who I think in order to win it all, they've got to have him at peak efficiency. And without Michael Brantley, an all-star, he's been down for over a month now with it seems to be it's more than a sprained ankle that they say, but be that as it may. And Kipnis has been down and on the DL 3 times this year. So yet they're finding a way to get through all of that. They've built a lot of depth on this baseball team. And yeah, I mean, it's like everyone around here, how fans are, Nestor. Fans are thinking, man, this is, and he's going to win it all. They're not going to be stopped now.
Well, at least you know what a parade feels like there. You had one already.
Certainly did. Had a parade, and, I still, we know what October baseball is now. Now, right now it looks like it's definitely going to be Houston and the Yankees, and then we'll see about that final wild card berth. But are they equipped if Miller and Brantley specifically are good to go in 3 weeks come the 1st of October? Sure. I mean, I think they got a legitimate shot to win it all. Isn't it mind-numbing, the ups and now the downs of the Los Angeles Dodgers? Everybody thought that they were the team that certainly could win it all. I know that a lot of folks like the Washington Nationals with that strong starting staff. But the Indians will be right there in the mix. And,
A lot of teams sitting around with a lot of time on their hands the next 3 weeks, right? I mean, the teams that know they're in are just getting their pitchers together, getting their Millers and their Brantleys healthy, and their Kershaws and whoever it is. I mean, the Dodgers have stunk for a month. The Astros had a flood. The Indians haven't lost. The Cubs are going to battle to the finish line, and nobody's going to take them seriously. And the Red Sox and the Yankees have just sort of coasted. They've been sort of a little bit unchallenged so far. But I do think the wild card, the one-game wild card, if Minnesota gets in and goes up to New York, they could create some havoc there, I think.
Oh, no question. Yeah, they can. You got to really like what Paul Molitor's done with that baseball team because, mostly it's a bunch of young fellas along with Joe Mauer and Brian Dozier. So, I mean, I agree with you. Any squad that you just mentioned, one's in the National League too. I mean, listen, we know what October baseball is. There really are no surprises. You pitch well, you get hot, and you got a shot to win a couple of rounds and then represent your league in the fall classic. So, Cleveland, they got a good shot to do it. I picked Houston in the American League before the season began. I like the addition of Justin Verlander to go along with their starting staff and Keightley and also McCullers. So, again, hey man, we could probably talk in October and maybe some of this will all change, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be as October baseball always is. I can't wait for it.
12 weeks from now, I will be in the land of Cleve on the eve of Christmas, going to the Christmas Story joint there, and the Ralphie and the leg lamp that I have in my office, as you know, Mike. But it'll be Cavalier season when I get there, though, right?
Yep.
Boy, that's a soap opera that never ends for you, right? I mean,
and again, though, like I said, I think you text me, please, after Sunday, and just give me your thoughts. Let me know. Text me, email me, and just I want to see your thoughts on what you think Deshaun Kaiser looks like, and against a very good defense.
Well, that would be the point. My thought would be watch out for the defense this week. I mean, this Ravens defense, I know they pitched the shutout last week, and at some points Cincinnati could have kicked a field goal or punched one in. I get all that, but this defense looks like it's going to travel every week, Mike. I
agree. Oh, no, I agree. We started here our conversation with that. I think the Ravens defense is – I think they're aggressive. They're strong at all the critical spots. I think they're going to continue to come after quarterbacks each and every week. So I would agree with you. I think you got something there that might be special, taking you back to some of the old foundation days of, as you said, with with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Alonte Nada and still with Mr. Suggs. So. It's going to be fun to watch, and we know defenses could carry football teams, especially in November and December. So I'm thinking that your Ravens crew is going to fool a lot of the prognosticators that had them, an under 500 and not a playoff type football team, Nestor.
Well, it's hard when Flacco's not upright until 1 o'clock on the first Sunday of the year. But tell Isaiah Crow to bring his chin strap on Sunday. Going to need it. We'll bring the lunch pail mentality in here. Mike, always good to visit with you, man. I hope you're having a good fall season. You're calling a lot of college football, right?
Yep. Yeah, I called the Howard Bison last week. Got to see Cam Newton's younger brother after their big win over UNLV. So I call mostly, I'll do ACC up here in the northern part of the footprint, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, Boston College, and of course the MAC, the Toledos and Ohio and Central and Western Michigan and schools like that. So I enjoy it. Always fun going on campus and calling college football. Nestor.
Well, I found myself in Cincinnati the other day and then going up to Indianapolis for you two. So I've driven a little bit of your Midwestern corn-fed roads there over the last couple days myself. Mike, take care of yourself. We're going to stay in touch, and we'll catch up with you again a little later on, maybe even talking some baseball next month before it's all over with.
Sounds good, Nestor. Be well, man.
Michael Regai, the man, the myth, the legend out there in Cleveland, and to borrow his phrase, see you later. You can find us at thebuyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear. The morning newspaper ships digitally to your email inbox. That's all powered up by Planet Fitness at planetfitness.com. 25 cents now to get involved there. It's been 25 years, and they're always judgment-free at Planet Fitness, and there's one right around the corner from you. Any breaking news this week on the injuries or anything that's significant that's not spam? You get it first on the WNST text service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And Dennis Colatzos will be here from 3 until 5 on Thursday, driving you home. That's the SSV on WNST. I am a very available individual. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me. Reminder, Greenmount Station on Wednesday night. We got Ryan Jensen as well as Austin Howard joining us for the Bone Marrow Registry, eating some crab cakes, talking some O-line with some lunch pailers as well, trying to open up some holes to have Terrence West and Buck Allen run around a little bit here this week. Looks like Danny Woodhead's not around, but we'll see how the offense fares against the Browns. Talking football at Greenmount Station, Carroll County, Hempstead, and 7:30. Wednesday night, 7:30 is our start. Last but never least, next week, if you're going over to London, we are throwing a party at a bar called the Fox at XL. It's in the Docklands area of East London, right off the tube at the Emirates Air cable car. We're going to take the Emirates Air cable car over to the O2 Arena after our party. Put together a nice little day for you on a Saturday afternoon. If the weather holds up nicely in Londinium, it will be a beautiful, beautiful weekend, especially if we beat the Jaguars, who looked pretty good the other day against the Houston Texans. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports